Flood warnings remain in place across England and Wales as more wind and heavy rain is expected to cause significant disruption. The Environment Agency says the southwest and Wales are especially at risk. Well, my colleague Chris Eakin is in a very wet Langport in Somerset, where presumably, Chris, the ground is already saturated.
It's saturated and the rivers are swollen as well. And what that means is the Environment Agency are no longer able to actually move the water from fields into the rivers, which they have pumping stations to do exactly that. They have two very close to where I am at the moment. Those pumping stations are silent because there is nowhere for the water to be moved to, nowhere free for it, because the lakes of the river behind me are utterly swollen. And that's a situation we see in many parts of the country. Now, Robert Hall has been looking at how people are preparing for the worst.
It's raining again, and along the roads of Somerset the water is creeping forward once more. At Langport, in the heart of the Somerset levels, the floodplain is saturated and slowly reaching towards the town. Every vulnerable home and property along the high street is as ready as it can be.
If it comes over, that's it. You're never going to stop it. You're just going to try and sort of damage the limitation, really.
This area has been completely devastated with the water.
At Alliford, near Taunton, Fiona Scott showed me the damage to her pub, ruined by 2 floods this year and now threatened by a third.
I'm extremely worried. I know that what's going to happen underwater again.
Well, these are some pictures of what it was like on Wednesday.
Neighbour Mark Chudley told me the speed of the last flood was unprecedented.
Quite a surprise. And like I said, we've seen it on the corner before, but never has it come up this ramp into the driveway or filled our garden or filled the garage or anything, so it was a real surprise.
As I left, the situation across Somerset was worsening.
What's changing now is another heavy band of rain coming across tonight. The rivers are going to respond incredibly quickly, the floodplains are filling up, and that's the change for us now. We need to get prepared.
The storm is approaching. In areas like this, it will bring a long and testing night.
Well, Robert Hall reporting there. And another dimension are these gale force winds. It's got much windier now where we are, and it's a cold, chilling wind, but the real difficulty that the wind can create is that it puts more debris into the rivers, which can lead to damming and problems, and also into the drainage channels as well. It doesn't help the situation, and there are now round about 50 flood warnings. That's been the situation for most of the day, and that is around parts of England. The Midlands, the southwest where I am, and also the Anglian area, what the Environment Agency call the Anglian area, also has quite a few flood warnings. So the advice in those areas is because a flood warning means that flooding is imminent and you need to be prepared for it. And it's quite clear that the river system cannot cope with a great deal more rain. It is a waiting game and a watching game. It all depends on just how much rain actually falls. The forecasters can try as hard as they can, and there is the science behind that, but the reality is there can easily be an inch or so away from the forecast. And if that does happen, it would tip the balance in many places. So it is a question of waiting and watching to see what happens through the night and whether the river systems are able to cope with that or not. We'll have much more information. We have it on the BBC website, BBC Local Radio, of course, in areas which are vulnerable, where you can keep up to date with precisely what the situation is. For now, back to Anita.
Chris.